mentioned, Thomas,
How do you sort of get Caleb back in the right headspace for the final stretch of his rookie season? How do you restore order in his world when he's had 3 weeks of total commotion?
Being consistent. So we all have to make adjustments. Life is ever changing. It's not an excuse. We make excuses. So I think being able to communicate effectively, to be on the same page, to continue to find ways to demand that we do things the right way, but also taking it one play at a time, one day at a time.
Who's eating good? Served by Applebee's. That was Thomas Brown, the new frontman for the Bears right now, and he's been helping Caleb Williams get right and eat good. Caleb Williams has got the 49ers this week, Matthew. And listen, some of it, or a lot of it, has been racking up stats in garbage time or chasing points, but it all counts the same in fantasy. Can he keep it going this week against this very desperate 49ers squad?
I don't think so. To your point, just to give a number and some context to what you just said, Connor, 80%, literally 80% of his fantasy points over the last 2 weeks have come in the second half or overtime. So sort of junk time scoring. You are right. It all counts the same. But this Niners defense is for real. Hopefully they get Nick Bosa back this week. We'll see. Hopefully they get healthier. But prior to facing Josh Allen on the road in the crazy snow, the 6 previous quarterbacks to face the 49ers had all scored under 16 fantasy points. And remember, Josh Allen obviously had a nice day, but didn't have an amazing day. Like, take away the touchdown pass that he threw to himself, which is like the flukiest of plays. We love Josh, right? But it's probably more of like a 20-point game for Josh in that one, including the rushing touchdown. Again, they were in the snow playing to their strengths as well. Here's the positive of Caleb Williams. He's starting to use his legs, right? He's averaging over 31 rushing yards per game. Thomas Brown has got him on the move a little bit as well. You mentioned the back-to-back games with nice fantasy points. I'm at QB 17, and I'm nervous about him not only this week. So I think he's a mid-tier QB too, right? And probably on the lower end of that. But my concern with Caleb Williams, fantasy-wise, is not just this week, but look at the upcoming schedule. So they're on the road to San Francisco. That's a tough matchup, a desperate Niners team. Then they're at Minnesota. That's not easy, right? Then they're home to Detroit. Also, that's a tough schedule. And then they're home to Seattle. And Mike McDonald has the Seahawks playing really, really well, especially defensively on that side of the ball. So the next 4 games, the rest of the season, are really tough for the Chicago Bears. So I'd be nervous about counting on Caleb Williams not only this week, but for the fantasy playoffs.
Lawrence, this is someone who finished QB5 last week, obviously once again chasing a lot of points, but does look better under Thomas Brown, which is a good sign. We know the talent is there.
Yeah, the good thing is he hasn't thrown any picks in the last 2 games. Now, with that being said, Matthew mentioned his upcoming matchups here, and it gets a little tougher, but he might be in the same situation. Look at it. Each of the last 2 games, he's had 39 and 47 passing attempts. That's at least going to give him the opportunity to score some fantasy points there. Now that he's got a couple games under his belt, throwing multiple touchdown passes. And look, his last 3 games, he's averaging 47 on the ground. So that gives you 4.5 points alone in that scenario. So maybe he won't have the same type of statistics, but if you could get a 2 touchdown pass, 1 interception day with, say, 30 rushing yards, I think that's in the realm of possibility. No matter who he plays, it's probably not going to look good. He may have a turnover here or 2 with that, but it'll be okay. Like, Matthew has him ranked probably where he should be.
Right. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, I think it makes sense if you're starting Caleb Williams, and then you're holding on for the playoffs where Minnesota's a better matchup because of their secondary. You can push the ball down the field. Obviously, a riskier play this week against the 49ers. Our next quarterback, another young player who's been playing so much better since his benching, that's Bryce Young. He was QB 8 last week. Yes, he has the Eagles this week, Lawrence. That's a tough matchup. But at some point, you got to ask, is he becoming viable in 2-quarterback leagues with his consistency so far?
Well, look, since week 10, he's quarterback 19 in fantasy points per game. So in 2-quarterback leagues, you start 2 quarterbacks. He's quarterback 19. That would be 24. So, yeah, especially this week, there's no Lamar. There's no Jaden Daniels. So in Superflex leagues, you're probably starting Bryce Young. Now, I would actually say he's been better from a real football standpoint than fantasy because he's only been having these string of games where he's been throwing 1 touchdown. He didn't throw a touchdown pass in either of his first 2 starts this season. But since he's came back, he's thrown a touchdown in every game. And his last 3 have been without an interception. So that's the big part about this for Bryce Young. But yes, he's getting on the move. He's playing more like how he played at Alabama. He's feeling confident again. So in super flex leagues and in this week, you could probably roll with Bryce Young.
Yeah, and Matthew's favorite target in Adam Thielen is back. He just peppers him with targets and just looks more confident when he's out on the field.
Yeah, look, it's a great story. Bryce Young is an easy kid to root for. I've interviewed him, really nice kid, and I felt like really unfair in terms of the careers are one of these things in terms of where you go in your career. Like there are a lot of things that were out of Bryce Young's control. The fact that C.J. Stroud was drafted after him, the fact that C.J. Stroud went to a team with Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and Bryce Young went to a franchise with a coach that gets fired mid-season that only had Adam Thielen, just didn't have nearly as much talent, bad offensive line, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so it's been great to see sort of the resurgence and reemergence of Bryce Young. Credit Dave Canales. It looks like yet another reclamation project. Credit to him. He resurrected Geno's career. He resurrected Baker's career. Now it looks like Bryce Young is on the right path under Dave Canales. So credit to him, right? And last week, best fantasy game of his career. So he's playing better, but it's Philly. The Eagles team. Shut down Lamar. They shut down Jaden Daniels. They've shut down everybody that they faced this year as well. They allow the fewest yards per pass attempt. They have the 3rd-ranked pass defense. They're allowing touchdown passes at the 2nd lowest rate since their bye. They've just been pick a stat, and the Eagles are really, really good at. Now, after this game, I think things get a lot easier for the Panthers and Bryce Young specifically. So I wouldn't be dropping him if you're in a 2-quarterback league. I wouldn't be. And I kind of like some of the guys around the edges in Carolina. If you're tight end desperate, Jatavian Sanders should be back this week as well. We talked about the running backs earlier, but certainly Thielen is showing some signs of life. Hopefully Leggett gets going as well. After Philadelphia, they're home to Dallas. They don't scare you anymore. Home to Arizona, not a plucky defense. And then they're at Tampa Bay. And for teams that play in Week 18, they're at the Falcons in Week 18, or leagues that play in Week 18, I should say. So I think the schedule gets much easier after this week at the Eagles. I ideally want no part of a Panther on the road at Philadelphia, but the rest of the year is actually pretty favorable.
Yeah, with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in that secondary, this is a very different-looking Eagles defense. Our last player who's been eating good, Mac Jones. He's got the Titans. Listen, we heard from Doug Peterson earlier today that Trevor Lawrence, no surprise, he's going to be in concussion protocol, looking like a Mac Jones week. QB 10 last week, Lawrence. Is this a fluke, or is he a desperation play because of all those bye weeks?
What you said was he been eating good. He ate good one day. Now you're in the game here at the Titans. The over-under is currently set at 39.5. That is the lowest of any game.
That's a big 10-point total.
Yeah, and that's in the whole Week 14. You got the quarterback on the other side, Will Levis, playing better. I would actually go towards a quarterback like Will Levis against these Jaguars. I would look at a Derek Carr at the Giants, a Cooper Rush versus the Bengals, even Aiden O'Connell at the Bucs and their pass. Even those are 4 streaming quarterbacks that I personally would look for ahead of Mac Jones going against the Titans defense that's more respectable than the ones I just named. Tennessee's allowing 213 passing yards per game in their last 5 games. It took Mac Jones 3 games just to throw for over 140 yards. So I don't know about this one.
What do you think here, Matthew, with Mac Jones? The good news is it feels like there's some kind of connection there with a guy you've talked about a lot in Parker Washington, but the rest really feels up in the air.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is comfortable in the middle of the field. And so I think to the extent you're starting a Jaguar, if you're starting Parker Washington in a deep league, if you're starting Evan Ingram, you feel good about what you saw last week. But I can't imagine starting him this week unless I was truly, truly desperate. Now, you're talking to somebody who in our league where, everyone's just a jerk, and I'm going to have to start whoever's starting for the Giants, have Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock because Jaden Daniels is on a bye and I got no one else. But so if you're in a league like that, then sure, Mac Jones makes sense. But unless you're in a super deep, horrible league, I'd avoid him. He's my QB 24 this week as well. He's had 2 starts this season. He's averaging under 5 fantasy points in those 2 starts. Jags have the second lowest implied team total this week. The over-under in this game is less than 40, so it's the lowest game total on the slate as well. And so we haven't seen enough consistency from Mac Jones in his career, honestly, to trust him in a week unless you are truly desperate. Like I said, he's my QB 24. He's a mid-tier QB 3.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.